everybody, and welcome to the Bob Stoops app. It is week number 12 of college football. Brad McMullen along with Hall of Fame football coach Bob Stoops. It's an off week here in Norman. We'll talk a little bit about the Alabama game next week. But you've been on the road, been in Kansas City this last week.
Well, I had visit a buddy and his wife up in Kansas City, and was able to go by the Kansas City Chiefs practice on Wednesday, and fun to see all the Sooners. Creed Humphrey, James Winchester, Samaje Perine is now on the squad. Wanye Morris, Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, also, though he's not playing, in the training room, being treated. So a bunch of Sooners, and wonderful organization. Andy Reid couldn't have been better and more welcoming, and it's fun to watch them. Boy, what a precise, good practice I was able to watch, and you could see why they win so much.
Yeah, defending Super Bowl champs, undefeated, but it had to be so cool seeing kids that you recruited, that you coached, getting to live out their dream.
Absolutely, I love it. And let's see, Samaje, I think Perine's on his 8th year. James Winchester, I think he said his 9th year as a long snapper. Walked on here as a receiver, was a fabulous guy, great player. Creed Humphrey, I'm not sure what year, and anyway, you lose track, but happy for Creed's, just recognized as the number one center in the NFL right now with Kelsey out. So anyway, so good for them.
It's exciting just to see how well they're playing, and again, living the dream there as Super Bowl champs, playing for the Chiefs. All right, let's bring things back to college football here. You were popular last week. I don't know if you noticed this at the end of the Missouri game. The very first thing the head coach of Missouri mentioned, Bob Stoops at the end of the game. You living in somebody's head rent-free, Coach?
I don't know. Listen, I wish the guy the best. I have no idea. A retired coach of 8 years now, you're the first guy you're going to mention, as opposed to your players and what the accomplishment they just had beating OU. But so be it. It's not a big deal, and I at this point in my life I could care less. But also Gary Pinkel did beat me at Missouri. Also, the one time that we did lose was at Missouri, and Gary's a great guy, was a great coach. We always knew it was a tough game.
Yeah, let me stress that he kind of just popped that in. Only one time did Missouri ever beat this guy, when he was at the University of Oklahoma. All right, let's talk about the Sooners. Boy, oh boy, that last 2 minutes. 2 different lead changes. I mean, it was unbelievable. Unfortunately, Sooner Magic was not in the tank at the very end there.
It was a gut punch. Just when you think, oh man, we had the play we needed on defense to change the game, and just needed a stop. And couldn't get it, and then we fumble on our next possession. Listen, I've heard people say, "Oh, we should have taken a knee." Oh, no. Our kicker had already Schmidt had already hit a 56-yard field goal. You have to go with over a minute, 3, 5, whatever it was, to win the game. You've got to give it a shot, and we just unfortunately lost the ball, and then defensive stop. We were close, on their last drive to tie it up. And anyhow, and let's also recognize they made one heck of a throw and catch.
Yes,
that's the absolute only place it could have gone, and they were not fortunate. They made it happen. Quarterback Pine put it in a great spot, and Weiss barely by an inch got both feet in. I think, not one. So anyway, they made the plays at the end, to tie it up, and then ended up winning.
Yeah, great coverage there. And again, a lot of debate on whether OU should have kneeled on the ball.
Oh, I don't think so.
You have the ball with enough time to go and get 3 or 4 first downs and win the game. You're going to do that.
We have 2 timeouts, and you have many timeouts in college football with first downs.
Yep.
The clock stops. So anyway, I don't question that one bit.
Yeah, and you're on the road. Let's talk about the running back situation. In the fourth quarter, we had a true freshman right here from the state of Oklahoma blossom and really dominate the game.
Yeah, it was fun to see that, and as well as I think the line made, they helped them. There isn't a running back that's going to make things happen without the offensive line, tight ends, whoever. So anyway, that was exciting and fun to see.
Now, Oklahoma will have to win 1 game out of their next 2 to continue the awesome bowl consecutive streak. But here's another interesting thing. OU doesn't have very many losing seasons. As a matter of fact, in the history of college football, No one has fewer losing seasons than Oklahoma, a total of 13 in the history of the game. Ohio State tied with 13. Number 2 on that list, Notre Dame and Alabama, each with 14. It just goes back to what we've talked about, Coach. No one's won more games since 1950 than Oklahoma. No one's more games than 2000 since Oklahoma. I mean, this is a team that wins all the time.
You did some good research there, Brad. I had no idea. I knew we'd be up there, though. So it is true. It just shows the overall consistency of the program. And this is an unusual year, obviously, with the stats you just said. And I do have total confidence in Coach Venables and this team and the coaches that they'll get this right.
And they are fighters out there. Look at the tape. Every play, they're out there hustling. No one's giving up. What are the keys to getting a win here at home on senior night against Alabama?
Well, like they have been every week. We've said it over and over. Turnover margin always matters. I mean, if you're going to fumble football, you're not going to win. Take care of the football, get a defense, strong defense through the game. Third down possessions, get off the field, get a player or two that make a difference in the game, set up a score, on defense. And then offense, same thing, be able to run the football like we did at Missouri. And we got to be able to get more plays passing the ball, some chunk plays, some 15 and 20 and 25-yard throws to put you in scoring position and then take advantage of it.
Something when you look at this 5-5 record, there were 5 times this year that OU won the turnover battle against their opponent. They're a perfect 5-0 in those games. The 5 they lost, guess what? They lost every one of those games.
That's the truth. I mean, you're going to go on the road to Missouri and fumble 4 times. You're not going to win. Now, we almost got away with it, but the last one sealed our fate, and that's the bottom line. It's not a cliche. People want to hear other things, why you win or lose. Turnover margins is the top one.
Yep. All right, so interesting thing, OU will be playing Alabama and LSU in those final 2 weeks. Both of those teams are odds-on favorites to potentially make the SEC championship game. And I want to talk about crazy. Some things can happen over the next 2 weeks that will actually have potentially 8 teams in the SEC tied with just 2 losses. That would include Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Alabama, Texas A&M, and Missouri, and that could put Texas out, LSU and Alabama, and of course, as if LSU and Alabama both beat Oklahoma.
So I think what you're saying, though, is
crazy.
A lot is going to happen in these next 3 weeks, and it's so hard to predict. If you took every favorite, I wondered what it'd be. Anyway, but favorites aren't always winning. So anyway, it's going to be really exciting these next 3 weeks on this whole race. Probably not only. Big Ten may not be as close as this is. There's not as many teams that are with the same record as the SEC.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of predictions, let's go through that and start talking about them. All right, number 3, Texas at Arkansas. Texas favored by 14 points in this game, but Arkansas does have a lot of injuries.
Well, injuries, I didn't take that into account. I was going to say I think it'll be closer than that, but I don't know. Texas seems to be really playing well, and if Arkansas has injuries and they're not at full strength, then I'm going to take Texas.
Yeah, boy, Texas destroyed Florida last week. And speaking of Florida, LSU's coming to town. LSU favored by a lot in this one, double digits at the Florida Gators. Florida 4-5 on the season.
Yeah, I hate to pick against the Gators. I really do. I'm not going to pick against the Gators. I was just thinking that last loss is going to hurt them. They're looking at their season and could be down in the dumps. But I'm going to count on the Gators having the pride that I was used to being around when I was there. And they're being at home. They have something to prove that they'll make enough plays to win the game.
Yeah, I think LSU, the way that they got pounded by Alabama last week, I think Brian Kelly is going to be a little upset this week, probably having some warm conversations with his players. I like LSU on the road, just a lot more talent. All right, Missouri at South Carolina. Missouri 7-2. South Carolina, boy, have they looked great the last 4 weeks.
They really have. They're starting to hit their stride, as I like to say. Last few games, they are really feeling it. So I'm going to go with South Carolina just because of that, the momentum that they have going. It's going to be really good.
I agree. The points are a lot in this one. 14 points. South Carolina is favored, but I just think they're that much better of a team. And again, I think they ran out of luck last week. Missouri did. All right, Tennessee at Georgia. Tennessee 8-1. Georgia, surprising 2-loss team. Georgia favored at home by 10 points over the Vols.
Wow, that's a lot of points. I think Georgia will win, but I don't know. Tennessee's been a little inconsistent, I think, offensively, so I'm going to go with Georgia.
And one tidbit to know that
it's at Georgia.
It's at Georgia. I think Georgia's going to play well. I like Georgia in this pick, and here's why. Tennessee has only beaten one team that possibly is going to go to a bowl game. So if
that's
you
a
look
big
at
difference.
that record,
Right.
I think Georgia's been a lot more tested. And the way Georgia played against Texas, I can't get that out of my mind that they can put it together.
You just brought it up, but these big conferences now, SEC and Big Ten, even Big 12, but SEC and Big Ten for sure, the difference in schedules
is massive.
And such a difference maker that hopefully they'll keep looking at it, because you start to look at someone who hasn't played a team with a winning record or a ranked team whatsoever. That's a big deal.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. All right, again, like Georgia. All right, number 1 Oregon, Dylan Gabriel, 10-0, a 13-point favorite at Wisconsin, but a Wisconsin team that's been really good the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think Oregon will be too much for them. I don't care where it's at. I think Wisconsin sometimes, when they see a team with that skill, the speed outside and whatnot, and the receivers and the execution of Dylan Gabriel, I'm going to go with Oregon.
Oregon showed me a lot. Again, the way they played Ohio State, the way they've been really consistent, and most importantly, the way they take care of the football coach.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a huge plus margin in the turnover margin, which is why they're number 1 in the country. All right, Kansas at number 6 BYU. Kansas only 3 wins on the year, but boy, they've looked good the last 2 weeks. And this game is a 2-point spread, despite BYU being 9-0, undefeated, and at home.
I'm going with Kansas. Yeah, I think that guy, Lance Leopold, and his staff do an amazing job. I was totally shocked early in the year with some of the losing, because
they were up in the fourth quarter in 3 of those losses.
Well, there you go then. I didn't realize that. So that's why, in the way they played the last couple weeks, they may be hitting their groove, their stride, whatever you want to call it. And just think it's hard to go undefeated. At some point, somebody's going to have a player or two, a turnover that costs them a game, and I would go with Kansas in that.
All right, last game we're going to be picking the Nebraska Cornhuskers traveling to USC. Nebraska is actually bringing 30,000 visiting fans,
of course,
to the Coliseum
Nebraska
for that one.
fans, right?
Exactly. Nebraska 5-4. The reason why I use that record, they were actually 5-0 at one point. They've lost 4 straight games at USC. USC not having a great year either, 4-5 on the year. The Trojans favored at home by a little over a touchdown, 8 points.
Yeah, I'm going to take USC to win, but I think it'll be less than that. I think it'll be a really tight game. That's kind of how I see it.
And both of these teams.
You have a new coordinator. I'm sorry, Brett.
Yeah.
With Dana Holgorsen calling plays at Nebraska.
Yeah, let's talk about this. Dana was brought on as a special assistant just a few weeks ago, and now he's been elevated just like that to offensive coordinator. Really doesn't know a lot of the terminology or even the personnel at Nebraska, and now he's the OC.
No, from what I understand, though, Dana's a sharp guy now and a great offensive mind, and I love him. I think he's awesome. He picked it up inside of a week, everything about their terminology. So he'll use their terminology and put his flair or his spin on it, and it's usually pretty good. I think he does a heck of a job as an offensive guy. So anyway, I think he'll do a good job, but I think overall USC will win, but I think it'll be a tight game.
Well, you got me to switch my pick there.
Well,
I was going with USC in the points, but now after hearing that, I'm like, Dylan Raiola with a good offensive coordinator, they're going to keep it close. You got to like that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, you'll never know.
Right.
That's why we
Being
watch
that
the
it's
games.
at USC and they've got something to prove and get to a bowl. They've lost a lot of tight games in the fourth quarter, so their record could be skewed a little differently too. So, that being said, we said take USC. I don't know, maybe the points. I don't know, but they're going to win. I just don't know about that much.
Well, we'll look forward to watching it and look forward to seeing everybody back at the Palace on the Prairie a week from Saturday night, as it will be the primetime national game of the week on ABC, 6:45 kickoff here at the Palace. For Coach Bob Stoops, I'm Brad McMullen saying, remember, for videos anytime, just tap on our video link. Boomer Sooner, everybody.